what you might call a professional coffee, but we've also had a few coffees off the books. And those are that's where the magic kind of starts to happen. And then to be able to be here and to bring that magic that's between you and I, Carla, I love it. Because
I know it's funny because I said to Rex yesterday, I said, there is a deeper connection here. There is a reason you and I met. And I said, and then, discovering the Saskatchewan connection, I was like, there we go. That's why.
Yeah. So to go into that, I am Canadian, although I am also an Oklahoman, an American. I have both viewpoints, you might say. And my parents are from Saskatchewan. I lived in Saskatchewan for almost 2 years. So, and we have Springdome as a connector also, and with all these good things. And then we have this mindset stuff that
thrown in there.
Yeah, it kind of makes the whole thing quite sweet. Yes.
I was going to ask you, how did you guys end up in the States? Because are you both Canadian?
His mom.
That's a long story.
His mom is Canadian, and
okay.
So he is Canadian by proxy of his mother, but no, he was born and raised in Oklahoma, right here in Enid, right where we're from, basically.
Okay.
And so when I married him, I chose the United States along with him.
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad thing. Look, like you guys are doing so awesome. And you've got how many kids again? You've got 3.
We've got 3 kids. Yes.
Yeah. You guys, and you guys are busy.
Oh, we're busy. And then there's always the pets and just, all the good things, the business, the pets, the kids, all the good stuff.
Great. All right, so let's talk about what we've been like this week. We've been going back and forth and previously to this week, but we wanted to dive deeper into gratitude to get it out of the fluffy, like it's not just a hashtag thing. It's actual tool.
And it's not just your grandma looking at you saying, well, you need to be thankful because there's people who have less than you. That's not what we're talking about today.
Right. And it was when you brought that up in our conversation previously, I was like, oh, we do need to expand on that, because that is, like, I think our generations, maybe not so much now, but like generations previously, that was all like, you be thankful, you be grateful, like not so much. I don't think the term grateful was actually used, but it was more you be thankful.
Yeah. And it was, and it was finger pointing. And I get it from their standpoint, because they were looking at their childhood. They were looking at their years of less stuff. Right. But this is about stuff.
Yeah.
This is about a feeling, a state of feeling, a state of mind, a feeling that we can live in. So, while I was sitting here waiting for it to get everything up, I was like, I actually hadn't done my gratitudes yet this morning. So I'll just share, like, this is what, just off the top of my head, is coffee, tea, dates with my husband, because we had a fantastic date last night, which is a little why I'm a little slow side. Gorgeous weather, pets, the opportunity to be here with Carla and anybody who's listening or will listen later on. This is my favorite subject. So these are just the quick things that I wrote down this morning, just off the top of my head. This is what I'm grateful.
Yeah. And you talked about in your life. So also I want to make sure people don't forget to, after this is done, and go follow you, because you do so many good things on your page, your F word series. I love that so much. And I laughed so hard at it. Was when we're going to bring fun into this later, but it was when you were talking about that one, when it was fun and Corey came on and said his word was frisky, and I started laughing, and I'm like, that goes hand in hand with fun, I guess. Yes, it does.
Yes. Well, And Corey's the guy who always, he's always poking me when I'm doing lives just to see if he can fluster me and like, can I get her off her, get her off her
the
ease?
game. Yes, for sure. That's so funny. But we were talking about how you talked about how how gratitude is a tool. And that's when I reached out to you and I was like, oh, we got to go deeper in this, because gratitude, I think it goes along a little bit for a lot of people, because social media tends to do this with a lot of things, but it becomes that hashtag. So it's that hashtag thankful, grateful, and blessed. It means nothing. Like, people are just using it to, whether they're trying to get likes, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's used not in the way it's supposed to be used. Some people use it properly, and I get it. But I think for a lot of people, it's fluffy and it doesn't have any substance. And it's not it's like we talked about the universe thing. People are like, I don't get, like, what does that even mean? So you've got some steps and to use it as a tool. So I want you to talk about that, and just so people have something that they can go back to and use.
Awesome. Well, let's just dig in. So I think my story in this all is I started a couple years ago. I picked up a book by Brene Brown. Go read her, go find her stuff. Her stuff is fabulous. And in the beginning of, I'm not even sure which book it was, but she talked about living in the land of never enough. And she said how we literally, we roll out of bed and our feet hit the floor and we're going, dang, I didn't get enough sleep. And that didn't get enough is literally the program of our day. I didn't get enough coffee. I didn't have enough time. I didn't get enough breakfast. And we just start the litany in our brain about, like, I don't have enough. And so we're literally, with our feet hitting the floor in the morning, we plant ourselves in the land of never enough, in the land of scarcity. And that just hit me. It's like smacked upside my head. I'm like, I do that. I so do that, because, I get to bed late and I go to bed thinking I'm not going to get enough sleep. And the way this Brene talked about it is like, we've got to flip the script. So I started looking into that, and like, how do I change? And so now I'm gonna pivot a little bit to, so now you're thinking like, okay, so we live in a land of never enough. Now what we want to get to with this gratitude tool is that feeling that you had when your child was born. That feeling that you had when you were given the keys to your first home, or your keys to your first vehicle, or whatever. Like, as an audience here, I want you to think, like, what is that feeling where you just went, I've got it.
Yeah.
And your body is literally filled with this, like, this energy of, I did it. Like,
you cannot do anything.
And while that moment in our lives is often so short-lived, like, okay, for some people it might be a wedding day, and that's, it's one day, we work up to it, and then we have this amazing day where we're celebrated, and we have that feeling of, I have everything I want and need, and I am #blessed.
Right.
So how do we do we think that feeling is something that we can only have 4 times in our lifetime? Like when our child is born, when, is that a feeling that we can have only like once every 2 years, or maybe even once every 6 months? No, we can actually, when we start to flip that script and we start to, our feet hits the floor and we go, oh, I had a great night. That feeling starts to kick in, that very feeling that you had when that child was placed in your arms, the keys to your vehicle. And these are random things, but they're all things that I know produce that feeling in us as humans. So it's coming out, and instead of focusing on that massive chasm of what I don't have, it's focusing on the massive wealth of what I do have.
Right.
So how I've practiced it in my life is it's a practice. It's not something I do every day. It's not something I do the same every day. It's something that I practice. Like, it's not perfect. It's messy. It's random. And so when I tell you this, I want you to make it yours. I'm going to give you how I do it, but oh my gosh, play with it. So I have a notebook and I start with the first 5 things, like I told you at the beginning. I just wrote down random stuff, a good cup of tea, my pets, a date with my husband, the gorgeous weather. And sometimes I write that same thing down every single day. It doesn't matter what you write down. It's that this morning when I wake up, I know that I'm going to go do my practice. So I immediately think back to the last 24 hours and I'm like, what put a smile on my face? Oh, my date did. The weather, it's fabulous. Those kittens outside the door are just adorable and I could stand and watch them all day. And that I start my grateful juices flowing, or let's maybe take the word grateful out. I just start that feeling of enough.
Right. What you said there, it's it's writing. A lot of people practice journaling and they do the gratitude journal. I've done that too. And I remember doing that, and I'd write, and it was like in the first couple of days, it was like, oh yeah, and I'm writing, and it's just like, you get into almost like a bit of a high when you're doing that sometimes, because you think, oh, this is so cool and blah, blah, blah. And then day 5 comes along and it's like, it's not, you get up feeling kind of junky, and you get up feeling, oh, I got nothing. And I don't want to write the same thing. So I used to think you couldn't write the same thing. Like you had to have something new every single day. And it was like, when you start thinking about it, I would start getting myself like, oh, like, I don't know what to write. Like now I don't know what to write. Now I'm getting mad at myself. So then it became, I got to stop. But yeah, I'm glad you said that.
Right there, you were tipping yourself into the land of never enough.
Exactly.
Because you did, in those last 24 hours, those pets, like those same things that you wrote the morning before, you had them. You had them yesterday. You did. And that's why I call it a practice, is because nobody shows up to the gym for 5 days and ends up looking like they've got done. You show up every day. Sometimes you take a day off. Of course you do. That's how we humans do. But if you want, and I struggle to use that because I don't want to compare this to a body image, but nothing happens in 5 days. Nothing of worth and value happens in 5 days, and nothing comes easily. I think I have a whiteboard back here, and on my whiteboard say no to helicopters. And that's a really random thing to have on top of your whiteboard. But the reason that I have that is because there's 2 ways to get to the top of, let's say, Mount Kilimanjaro. I can climb, or I can take a helicopter. And getting to the top with a helicopter would be a rush. It would be incredible. But can you imagine what it would feel like to put the practice in and to walk every step, and every 10,000 feet turn back and look and say, wow, I did that. I walked that far. I've climbed that high. And when you finally get to the top of that mountain, you're like, oh my gosh, I did this. So I don't want to take the easy way to the top of the mountain. I want to take the way that brings massive value, massive change, and massive impact, both in my life and in many others. So that's why. And a lot of people go, well, I don't have to write it down. Like, I don't have to make this, I can just do it in my head. I know, actually you can't. So I'll tell you, you can do Post-it notes beside your bed, beside the shower, beside your toilet, if that's where you have the moment. Grab a pen and Post-it note, leave it handy beside your microwave, beside your coffee maker. Grab note cards like this.
Yeah.
And leave them lying around the house with convenient pens. And they'll trip your memory, like, oh, I see a note card. And it'll get you in the habit of starting to think, I should write something on that paper. And like, again, be gracious with yourself, be funny. Like maybe the one thing that you have to be grateful for is your 2-year-old's loud fart in the middle of a silent room.
Right.
Like, but it made you laugh.
Yes.
And so when you start to look for those moments in the day, because don't let yourself off the hook easy. If that 5th day comes and it's hard, know that going back over your last 24 hours and finding the thing that did give you a chuckle is going to launch you into the next level. And what are we doing this for? Why would we do this practice? Like, what's the benefit that we're going to see at the end? I'm going to say with 100% confidence, you're going to see a massive impact on your physical health. You're going to see a massive impact on your mental health. You're going to see a massive impact on those around you, because when you bring the energy of gratitude into your world, those who are beside you will start to level up with you. I love the saying, a rising tide raises all boats. So if you start bringing that tide up in your home, so that brings me to some of my next steps that I love to teach on with this gratitude. So practice just the 5, 6, 7 things, or whatever it is that you were grateful for, the little things that you saw happen in the last 24 hours. That primes your brain to start looking for them. And rather than looking for the negative, you start looking for the positive. And this, so another catchy phrase word is positive, but it's just, there's no other word. So then the next thing I do is I start to journal with gratitude. So that feeling, so start to think that feeling that you've had, that feeling. So now start to put that feeling into your heart, and now start to journal about the things in the future that you want to happen, and attach that feeling to them and write it as if it's already happened. So I write, I'm going to be 100% blunt here. I write that I am so grateful that I get to live debt-free. We ain't debt-free, but I am grateful today that I get to live debt-free.
Right.
Because when I go ahead.
This is where, and this, I always kind of want to bring into these conversations too. People get caught up in fear will take over in that situation, because who am I to say, like, I'm not, we'll use that as an example. Well, I'm not debt free. So how can I possibly write that down? Like, that's probably, they get caught up, fear takes over. So to write that down, and I'm going to just say, just write it down. Plow through that, because what does it matter?
Exactly. It's a personal journal.
Yeah.
What could it matter for you to dream that dream of living debt free?
And I think
how could it possibly be a detriment to your life if you wrote that down?
I think, like, I'll speak from obviously myself. I was a person long previously that when people talked about their goals and dreams and all these things they had, like they had all these things they wanted to do, and I'd be sitting there going like, I got nothing. Like, I don't know. I was terrified to allow myself to even go into that space, because it's easier to hold myself back. And I'm not gonna lie, I still do it in a number of places in my life. For me, it's easier for me to hold back, I think, which is not true. It's not easy, but it's just something I've become used to. To think that I'm going to start writing down big dreams and big things. Like, I recently, Rex and I've been talking about things like what things are going to look like in a year from now, because things will be very different for us a year from now. And so I finally allowed myself to go, yeah, we can do that thing that we're talking about. And for me to actually do that and be okay with it, that's probably because we've talked about this thing for a number of years, and he's kept at me just like, we should do this, we should do the blah, 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 blah. And I've just resisted it and just made up excuse after excuse after excuse. I don't think it'll work because this. I think we're better because if we blah, 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 blah. I finally just in the last 2 months have allowed myself to feel what that would be like to actually do that thing we're talking about. And oh
So
my gosh, it was
can you
scary, but it was so good.
can you explain that feeling? Because that's where we're going. When we start to dream these
Hmm.
audacious, fun, crazy, off the wall dreams, and I'm going to remind you, nobody needs to see this if you're shy
Nope.
about your dreams. But it's when we attach that incredible feeling to that dream
Yes.
that that dream may not, and I have a story about that, but I'd like you to tell me, what's that feeling that you're feeling as you're thinking about what you're going to do with Rex, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, can you
Oh,
describe that feeling of
yeah.
letting go of the fear and dipping your toe into the what if this is going to work?
Yeah.
Like, what
I
if I can
had,
make this happen?
right. I had all of these things that I had built up around this
Mhm.
thing. And I have had those in place for a long time. Can't do it because of this. Can't. And I finally, like, through and you know what? Thank you, COVID, because had this not happened, I
Yeah,
wouldn't be here. Like, I wouldn't be where I am in this thinking right now.
yeah.
When I finally was like, Carla, like, on my walks, that's my therapy. But when I was out there, I was like, Carla, what are you like? Why is this such a scary thing? And I finally just said to myself, like, you have to let that go. We can make that thing happen. It's not an extraordinary, weird, out there, like, massive thing. It's not that big of a deal. We can make that happen. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to be okay. I'm going for it. I had built myself up in a space of, okay, what if I say yes and then it doesn't happen? That was the thing that was really blocking me. What if, okay, I'm going to go all in on this and then something will come up, and what if it doesn't happen? So I'm just going to, like, not. I'm not
Okay,
going to go there.
so let's dig into that.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen, or what's the best that can happen? Like, whatever this thing is for you, you're
Hmm.
not getting it right now with your
Nope.
fear. So if
Right.
you go all in, do you have a 50% chance of getting it? Do you have a 95% chance of getting it?
Yeah.
If you go all in, you absolutely have a 50% chance of getting it.
Yeah.
And the more all in you go, so if this is really something you want, you don't have it now.
Right.
What's the worst that could happen if you go all in? You still don't have it?
Right.
How is that worse than what you are right now?
Yeah. It is crazy what we do with our brain, how
We
that
like
brain works.
we like to be comfortable, even though our comfort may
Oh,
suck. We
right.
want that comfort of the familiar.
So the
So
feeling of finally and you know what? It also took me finally admitting to him and saying to him, this is why I've been fighting this, and being honest, because I
yeah,
thought what all of these reasons I thought it was going to be like, I was scared to say something because I didn't want, I don't know if I wasn't like, not necessarily hurting his feelings, or just like, I was not sure what the response would be. So, and that's something I've done forever and I'm working on, is that conflict thing. And we talked about that, and we'll do that on another episode,
oh yeah,
but
yes, we will.
it wasn't that at all. I had built it up into this crazy thing that wasn't even real. And so when I finally just said, let's do it,
Yeah,
like, it was like a 1,000,000-pound weight had been lifted off me. And it
yeah,
wasn't something I thought about every single day. It wasn't this thing that was like mulling over in my head, like, oh, okay, not even close. But when you have those things, the weight just comes down, and like, you start getting, like, pretty soon I'm
yeah.
going to be bent over at a 90-degree angle because I can't carry that anymore. And I
Yes,
don't even know I'm carrying it
exactly. But
until you go, yes, that's what it is.
exactly. So I'm going to jump to a
Mhm.
story in my life that, so when we're talking about writing down these big audacious dreams and goals,
Yeah.
um, in January of 2019, my husband and I and kids, we had bought from rent house to rent house for 4 years. I am a homemaker. I'm a homebody. I love to host. I
Mhm.
need a home.
Yeah.
It's where I thrive. And
Yeah.
I realized I had realized prior to that we're not thriving as a family. We're just merely surviving. We're in other people's homes and all this kind of stuff. And I started reading this about never enough and gratitude and all this kind of stuff. And so literally I woke up one morning, I looked at my husband and I said, I used the word manifest. I'm going to manifest us a home. And he says, have at her, but like, how weird.
Okay.
I said, I'm done. I said, I'm at my wit's end. We have looked at 400 houses. We're not making progress. I said, some people say this method works. So I wrote my 5 things every morning in my journal. And then I would write about this home. And I would write, I am so grateful to be able to live in a home that is light, bright, airy. It has the space that we need for hosting people. My kids have space to run and play free and all this kind of stuff. I would get very, very detailed in it. And did I feel uncomfortable? Hell yeah. But and the one other thing that I always wrote is I have a patch of fescue in my backyard because fescue is a big deal to me. I'm from Canada, and Bermuda grass in Oklahoma doesn't cut it for this Canadian girl. I need some soft, bright, green, lovely fescue. But you can only have that if you have a sprinkler system because fescue doesn't live in this heat at all.
Oh, yes,
so
right. Yes, right.
I got very specific. And the whole time I'm writing, I'm like, we're going to have to buy a piece of land and we're going to have to build because everything I'm being specific on, there's no way we're going to find it, right? No way at all. Well, we did. We looked at lots of pieces of land. We also kept showing up when our realtor said, well, here's another house. And I just wanted to slum but I write this every morning. I show up no matter what, because if I'm writing this, I have to show up, right? And that's what makes us, when we write this down, we choose to show up for our dreams then finding. So we showed up. Guess what? I started in January of 2019 on Father's Day in June. We looked at a home that had it, like I hadn't imagined it, but everything I had written down, it had, and more. It had huge windows. It was light and bright and airy. It was not like I had this picture in my head. It was not at all like what I had pictured, but it had all the specifics of the thing I wrote down. And here's the best part, because it makes me laugh. And I write it down in my gratitude journal now all the time. Guess what? It had a patch of fescue in the back, but it's watered by the sewer system. But it has a patch of fescue and it's watered by the sewer system. So I don't really go walk through it very often. But it's there. It's there like I asked for it. It's there like it's like, and so now, like sometimes I say, if it had been given to me like this, so the best part is that now I have 10 acres. I can create the next patch of fescue where I can literally go roll in the grass. But the thing that I asked for was given to me. And the best part is that it makes me grin every time I see it because it's such a conundrum, because it's there, but it's watered by the sewer. So I always giggle at the laughter that you might say the universe or the world around me, the joke that it played on me. But instead of being pissed off that it's watered by sewer, it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And so I find joy the sun takes care of it. So I do walk through it every once in a while, but it's there. It's green. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's lush.
Yeah. And I know like exactly what you're saying. When I finally said, let's go, and I actually phoned Rex and I apologized to him and said, listen, this is why I've been doing this. And I've allowed fear to jump in front of me and I've been scared. And I said, it's totally, me. And I apologize for that, because who knows, we could have done this before, but that's neither here nor there anymore. It doesn't matter. Then you can start seeing it. I can now in my head, I can see what this thing is a year from now and what that's going to look like. And like you say, it may not look exactly like that, but I know with certainty that thing is going to happen.
I just got goosebumps.
Yeah.
So on my wall, one of my values is faith. And I've been through a massive faith deconstruction, and I still keep this value of faith. but I finally found out my definition of faith. So I'm going to read it to you.
Yeah.
Because what you said is why I got goosebumps. Faith is letting go of certainty and I'm reading off my wall here, and living in the present with gratitude for the abundance that will come in the future. So it's this dance of letting go of the certainty, but also living with complete certainty that the abundance, if you in your own brain step out of the land of never enough, because honestly, we're a nation of overabundance. And I'm both Canadian and American, so I can speak to both sides of the line here. We are a nation with abundance.
Yes.
So stop I don't have enough.
Oh my God. Like, well, and yes, when is it going to be enough? Like, when is enough? Because I agree with you.
And do the hard work. Define what enough is.
Yeah.
Maybe you haven't defined it in your head. And that's why you're living in a space of, you just don't even know that because we're not sitting here and saying that once you start to live a life in the energy of gratitude, that, oh, you never want anything anymore. You're just going to go sit cross-legged and
you're going to go dance out in the wild grass somewhere and be free.
Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, no. I want a boat. I want a boat. But you know what? I have friends who have a boat, and right now I'm just super grateful I have friends that have a boat, because hey, I don't have to take care of the boat. I get to go ride along every once in a while. But do I want one in the future? Absolutely. But right now I'm grateful for what I have. Yes. So it doesn't take away. It doesn't make you live. Again, this is scarcity. It doesn't, having this feeling of gratitude doesn't make you not want anything or not want more. It just makes you perfectly aware that what you have right now, like where your feet are right now, is enough. And that tomorrow there'll be enough too. But that doesn't stop us from climbing the mountain. Like, back to my Mount Kilimanjaro. Do I have enough when I'm at the base? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean I don't want to get to the peak. Whatever. And my peak is completely different than your peak. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Design your own peak. Design your own mountain. Mm-hmm. And know that you have everything within you to climb every step of that mountain.
Well, and I think what happens, like you're saying in that analogy, you can, what you have at your core and with you every day, and having enough, excuse me, all of those other things, those are bonuses that just get added in. Like, they're amazing bonuses that you get along the way. And I think too, when we can flip and see, for the most part, all those things that you're talking about, all that other noise and ugliness, and that's just, you don't really, it's not that you don't know it's there, you know it's there, but it's not the focus.
Not the focus. Where focus goes, energy flows.
And that's, we see it all day, every day. You see where people's energy and focus is, and it needs to come back. And like you and I talked, and this is why we're going to start doing more of these conversations. We're going to combat that with gratitude, kindness, love, and peace, and we can win over that other.
And okay, and we're going to jump right into another step, and then I'm going to recap these steps, because we want to go on to have some fun here. But so for people listening, so the thing that I created for our own home is, I've touched on the fact that we've been through a belief in a faith deconstruction. So in that, so we were raised to have prayer before every meal. And that got to feeling very inauthentic to me. And so we came up with this thing, we call it the gratitude circle. And, maybe somebody else has some version of it out there, I don't know. But when we sit down at the table, we do 3 times around the table. Each person one person starts, we go around once, twice, 3 times. You get about 3 seconds to say something that you're grateful for. And again, don't judge yourself or anybody in that circle. If they say their pet, if they say it every single time, that is awesome. But it brings that energy. It rises the tide in your home. So use this in your home. Use it when on your way to school. Use it when you feel the energy and you're trying to clean house and everybody's bitchy. Grab them all and say, gratitude circle time 3 times around quickly. What are you grateful for? And then the best part of that is we've done it with big crowds sometimes, like with my family when we're 20 people or a lot more people. Rather than it like the traditional before meal prayer where one person is the focus and one person gets to speak. This is a completely integrated, everybody's involved, everybody gets a moment from the oldest to the youngest, because if they're big enough to speak, you're big enough to get down on their level and say, hey, what do you love? And they're going to say their teddy bear. Great. That's a fabulous way to start this shift in your own home and to start to bring, and that's like, school can be tough. Like everybody out there listening, we all know how tough school is right now. There is so much uncertainty and the kids are facing so much, but start them off on the right foot with what are you grateful for? What, maybe it's their lunch, maybe it's their pet, maybe it's their pet who, when they come home, they find a way to release that negative energy that they've absorbed in the world. But it's a way of filling their buckets up and them going into the world with at least something to start on. It's like giving your kids a great breakfast. Give them the tool of gratitude young. And it's not the shoulda. It's a fun thing. Like laugh at what they say. And it doesn't matter what they say. Don't judge it. It can be anything under the sun, just as long as they say something. Anything. Video games. They're connecting with people that way sometimes.
Well, because it gets caught up in the thing when you're trying to get people out the door and get them to school and everybody's in a panic, da 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 da. Who has time to think about, that's an awesome tool. And what happens is when you start them young, they carry that with them.
They do. And you know what else happens? Is they become our guides every single time. Because kids are resilient, kids are strong, and at their core, this is what they desire. So, we've seen it in our kids. They'll look at us and they're like, wow, you guys need to bring some gratitude. Or like, hey, I want to do a gratitude circle. We've forgotten often. And we sit down at the table and it has become an interactive thing where our kids step up to the plate for us. So involve your kids and guess what? You're going to get tenfold returns. Like, honestly, when you take the hashtag fluff gratitude away and you start to practice it, you get tenfold returns. I can't say that strong enough. Practice your dreams, practice your goals, practice the tiny little daily things, and you will get tenfold returns. And I'm going to encourage people, you guys, don't give up in 5 days. Anybody can do anything for 21 days. And when we do it for 21 days, it becomes a habit. So do you want to shift out of a negative mindset and into a positive one? 21 days of practicing gratitude and you're going to be well on your way. Yeah.
And it's like anything else. It doesn't mean every day is going to be perfect. You're just going to, but as long as you at least make the attempt to do it, you're better than, like I always say, I just strive to be better than you were the day before. But there's a comment on here from Peter Gorel. He's been on before too. And Peter's been I've been enjoying his, he started an exercise walking workout thing with an actual coach. And he's been daily documenting it and it's been so good. And yesterday he had an injury, which I was reading it and I was giggling because I was like, well, if you're not over 50, like nobody's maybe going to relate to that, but he pulled his back, putting on his shorts. He pulled them up so it went sideways. So he just said he said, sometimes gratitude will sneak up on you. I recently pulled my back and feeling bad for myself. This morning, I went for my walk in the park. I saw a woman struggling with a walker and I find out that she was in a car accident, is learning to walk again. All of a sudden, I don't feel too bad about having a pulled back muscle. And that's where, you know what, the universe or whoever, whatever, slams that. If you pay attention, that happens all the time. And when I'm walking and I'm feeling kind of, like like things are bothering me, or like, and little things, and I look and it's inevitable. It's going to happen. I see a homeless person sleeping in a sleeping bag in the pathway that I'm walking. And it stops me, and I just go, geez, like we're all not that far away being that person.
I know.
I'm grateful for everything I have. It doesn't matter what it looks like. I'm freaking grateful. And
yeah,
I also remember, like, nothing is permanent. Always remember, nothing's permanent. So things can change in a blink of an eye. Be grateful for that day you're in right now. Like, yeah. And so that's interesting that Peter said that, because that is something will always come in and you go, oh, right. Reminder.
Right. Yeah. And Carla, we talked about this yesterday when we were chatting about doing this live, and I want to tell everybody this. What you got?
This is my husband. Mr. Devil's Advocate himself.
Come on, Rex, what you got?
Oh my goodness. Why do you two beautiful ladies, honey. Why do you two beautiful ladies want people to live positively? He asks me this all the time. So what is your answer?
Because, and Rex, thank you. You just is absolutely perfect, because this is exactly what I was saying when Carla started to giggle. Because I have lived the negative Nancy life. I have lived the victim life. I have lived the life of never enough, my feet hitting the floor and going, my body hurts, and I was young. Mm-hmm. And today I have more energy than I did when I was 16 years old. I have dreams, and I have a passion, and I get out of bed at 5:30 in the morning, and I hit the floor running. Like, I have so much life to live, and I can't wait to do it. And I didn't used to be that. Yeah. And I see, and Carla, you were talking about, so I'm a very visual person. You were talking about how we hunch. Yes. You will literally see old people hunched. Why? Because they carry the weight of the world on the shoulder without the tremendous hot air balloon of gratitude that lifts them up. I was that person. That's why I tell people this today, because it was so simple. When I finally found the key and I started to practice it faithfully, not perfectly, faithfully. And it doesn't take much. Don't look me in the eye and say you can't do it, because it literally takes 30 seconds 4 times a day.
Yes.
Every one of us has that. And when I see how my posture has literally gotten better, my health has gotten better, my energy has gone through the roof. I have a mission. I have something to accomplish before I hit 102, which is my end. At this point, that's my end game. I may lengthen it. But I have something to do in the next 62 years. And that's to tell people, stop hashtagging gratitude and start living it.
Living it.
Because when we start to live it, it doesn't matter if my views are different than your views. We find the value between the two of us, and we move our mountains together, even though we may have opposing religions, we may have opposing political views, we may have opposing everything. But when I can look at you through the lens of gratitude, oh my gosh, I will come shoulder to shoulder with you, and together we'll make this world. We'll flip it.
Yes, we will. What was the thing that you said to me in one of our conversations about getting it was about getting to be 95 years old and looking back? Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, because that's how I live my life now. Yeah. When you're sitting in a rocking chair at 98 years old, what do you want? You want a grin on your face, right? And you want to be rocking and imagining and looking at your past life and going, I did that, and I did that, and I did that, and that, and that. Mm-hmm. What is that? What's that thing that's going to put that big old grin on your face? What's that thing that, as your lineage gathers around you and they look at you with admiration, what's that thing that you did? If you don't start now, how are you going to have that grin on your face at 98? And I don't care if you're 65. I don't care if you're 78. I don't care if you're 97. You have time. You have it within you. And don't look at me and say, I'm too old. Don't.
Yes.
You're not. It's there. It was placed there. And it's there for you to discover.
Yeah. That's just who I am. No, that's an excuse. That's an excuse. Like it always makes me laugh when I see people who they tend to be on that grouchy, grumpy side. Well, that's just me.
That was me. That's why I'm here. I used to be called Eeyore.
I find that so hard to believe. No, like what I know of you now, like you've said that to me before, and I'm like, how is that even possible? Because like I've said to you every time, and this is kind of where we're talking about having fun. When you come on to do your lives, like you're always upbeat, your energy is so good, and you're always smiling and giggling and stuff. And I'm like, how is that possible? But I think I was always somewhat of a happy person, but I look back at how I was 10 years ago. And I don't do it as much as I used to. Like I used to go back all the time and be like caught up in that, like, but when I do go back and kind of look at it from a different perspective now, that's not a person that, like, I don't know that person. It's weird because I was incredibly, nobody called me Eeyore, but like negative. Oh boy, hammer all in on every bad thing. And you know what? If there's 6 people around, you've all got bad things. Let's just talk about those over and over and over and never solve them. And just like be miserable.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I think a large part of being an Eeyore was me living in my past.
Yeah.
I finally had to forgive my past and let go of it, which that's like that's a whole nother conversation. Mm-hmm. But I just, and I know, you know, what makes me laugh is that I never would have attracted one person watching my lives had I remained in the Eeyore state. And I love Eeyore. He's adorable. Mm-hmm. But oh me, oh my, you know, I carried the weight of the world on my shoulders. I didn't have good boundaries. I couldn't be grateful for anything because everything was hard. I literally never got enough sleep at night.
Yeah.
It all flipped when I started to go,
Mm-hmm. And here's what my husband's response was. Living a positive life sounds fascinating. See, because you and I have had this conversation with him and I always, and I've said this in some of my videos, like I always say to him, come over to the light side. It's kind of nice over here. It's fun, because he's always been a person that is like, I don't like to say conflict oriented, but like doesn't mind a battle, doesn't mind was a, you know, in his younger days, kind of like a fighter and just like not easily looking at gratitude and positivity and all those things. Like that's challenging for him. Not so much now, but before, I don't know that it was really, he probably didn't think about it because work, you know, doing the things that he had to do for his family. And, you know, that was his focus. Mm-hmm. Who has room for being grateful and happy? And, you know, so it's funny because I always say that to him, come over to the light side. It's like, we're fun over here, but we've had serious conversations about that too. Like we've had battles about that going like, and I will say like, okay, so you think conflict is a good thing and good things come out of conflict and all this stuff, war and, you know, that battling. He always, it's funny because we'll be walking somewhere and he's always like, he'll throw up, if he's carrying an umbrella, whatever, battle. I'm always like, not everything has to be battle. But it doesn't have to be that way. Like you don't have to live in that state. And I've said to him, okay, well, that's great. How's it looking for the world so far? Because nobody that leads any kind of, whether it's a country or whatever, people who are in positions of power and leadership, how's that working for them? Because you know what? Look at where we are. Because that's been the mentality all along. Battle, fight, chaos. But what if we flip the script on that? What's it going to hurt?
What's it going to hurt?
Come to the light side.
And I can't wait till Rex and I can sit across the table and have coffee together, because I used to be afraid of conflict, kind of, but I love a good debate. I love it. I'll gladly sit and debate with him about positive or not positive or all these.
Corey and I'll have coffee at the next table.
Yes, and you'll go, we do not know those people. We do not know those people.
I got to talk to him about my quiz still. So we'll be talking about that.
So let's, just before we have to close out, let's just jump into the fun thing, because here we are, we're giggling, we're laughing.
Yeah.
And what is fun? You know, how does it go hand in hand with the whole conversation we've had? Because here we go again. I was in Eeyore. My husband has accused me. He's like, you don't know how to have any fun. You're like sober, serious all the time. You carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, blah, blah, blah. My brain is always in gear, and I'm always thinking problem, solution, all this kind of stuff. So I can get super tunnel vision on all that's wrong and all that's, needs my attention and needs fixing. And I need to take care of all these things, my kids and my pets and my house, and everything needs to be perfect and all this kind of stuff. So how does fun fit into our world today? What is fun? So I'm asking the audience, grab a pen, define what you think is fun.
Yeah.
Now, lighten that load and just go, what makes me laugh? Again, it could be finding the worst dad jokes. It could be literally going on YouTube and watching the cat videos that leap at cucumbers. Whatever it is that boosts that shift for you, because we're talking about a feeling. What makes something hilarious to you?
Yeah.
Find it and indulge yourself in it every day.
Yeah.
And you're going to have another thing for your gratitude list. Cat videos.
We talked about that, how you think when you say the word fun, oh, let's just drop everything and have fun. That isn't a thing that some people find very easy to do.
No,
it's hard because it throws you into a state of like, what do you mean? Let's just go have fun. Like I can drop in, like, if somebody's, let's go have fun, count me in, like I'm in.
That's my husband.
My husband? No, not like better now, but like before, no, like, no. And not that he's an extremely fun, oh my God, he makes me laugh every day. Like he's one of the funniest people I know. And we have lots of fun together. But for him to just randomly stop and go and let's go have fun. Like in the beginning, I was explaining to you how we would go to a movie. And for the first 3 movies, I'm like, do you not ever buy? Finally, on the 3rd movie, I'm like, do you never buy a treat to go, like popcorn and a drink? Because we would go and nothing. It was like we're seeing the movie and then we're leaving. And I was like the fun part of the fun of the movie is the popcorn and drink that you pay $10 million for, but it's part of the fun.
So,
like, no.
So do you think that this lack of fun that we have in our life has anything to do with waking up on the side of the bed that says never enough?
Yes.
So I'm going to go there. For me, never enough money, never enough time, never enough of me. Like I had this perception that I needed to take care of the house and the kids and the finances and all this. And I was stretched so thin, but I didn't, for number one, I was never asking for help. Number 2, really, a $20 popcorn at a movie is going to break your bank? Really? No, it's not.
And I think you can speak about that to a number of women who are at home doing exactly what you just said. They're taking care of house, kids, the bills and all of that stuff. who has time to have fun in that? But yet that's what is being craved. Like, I want to just have that time and I want to have that fun. But like you say, we don't have the money. There's always a reason not to have fun.
So something that I have done, and I am a Mennonite girl, okay? I want you all to hear this. I put my AirPods in and I find the funkiest, whatever kind of music that gets me moving. And I start singing along. And you might have to do this once or twice in the house when there's nobody else in there to get used to it. But then you're going to start doing it with the kids, and you're going to start doing it in the vehicle, and you're not going to care who sees you having fun. But we care so much what people think. But now I put my AirPods in and I dance while I vacuum and I laugh, and my kids go, "Oh my gosh, we've got the weirdest mom." I'm like, yeah, but at least she's fun.
Because the responsibilities take over the ability to have fun, I think, is what happens. People get caught up in that. And having
but when
fun,
you have fun, responsibilities are 10 times lighter.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And like you say,
they're still all there.
You don't need to go and have the $20 popcorn, throw music on, and like let yourself enjoy it.
Yeah.
Let yourself enjoy. Music is a huge, it kind of encompasses all of the emotions, right? Like if you're sad, you can find the music to go along with that. But like when you're happy and you find that music that just gets you, like, you're driving, maybe you're having kind of a crappy day, you're driving, that song comes on the radio and you're like, it gives you that little bit of a, God, I love that song. And you crank it up a little bit, it shifts your energy.
And I'm the mom in the minivan. I open my windows and I let the world know, because maybe somebody's going to be beside me who's going to catch the hint and join in a little bit, wiggle and shake their shoulders, maybe their hips a little bit too, loosen up, lighten up. Both is fun and the gratitude. I just got this mental picture, so I have to share it. Like, they're the hot air balloon that lifts us. It lightens everything. If you can approach life with those two things, and I challenge people, give it a try. Like, throw the what are people going to think of me, throw the fear of making a fool out of yourself. What's the worst that could happen if you made a fool out of yourself? What's the worst that could happen? You brought someone else to giggle.
Exactly. And it's interesting because you'll see people, especially when we do the walk on the seawall here. My neighbor and I have walked, and there's a lady that we see all, like, when we've walked, I saw her the other day actually, but she's always got her headphones on, and that lady is singing as loud as possible. And every time I meet her, I smile, and I'm always like, good morning. Like, and she doesn't give, like, who cares? She's doing it. Like, every time you see somebody doing that, I don't care if you might think they're crazy, but it changes your headspace. Like, look at that person. You can be that person. Throw them on and it's all good. I've done it. I've been, you are listening to music, not paying attention. All of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, apparently everybody else is hearing me sing. I'm sure it's a joy for them. I don't care anymore, honestly. And I was that person that would never have, like, oh my God, like somebody might, make fun of me or whatever. Nah, doesn't matter. And if they do, that's on them. That's not about you.
I know. And here's the thing. They made fun of you before you ever sang.
Yep.
Like, that's been some of my biggest hurdles to get over. Like, I was made fun of a lot as a kid, and I just like shrunk into myself. That I think that's partly why I became a silent, grouchy Eeyore, is because, well, I was always made fun of.
Yeah.
They made fun of me anyways. So I might as well have been myself. Yeah. I might as well have been my loud, crazy self, because they made fun of me anyways. I think it's called authenticity. Like, and there's so many of these words that are just such buzzwords nowadays. And And we have to dig into them, and we have to find their meaning for us. So, stop being afraid. The worst has already happened. You've been made fun of. People have thought you're an idiot. But that's on them. Yep. That's not that has nothing to do with you. So the worst in this whole gratitude thing and this fun thing, the worst has already happened.
Come over to the light side.
Come over to the light.
We invite you. We want you to come to the light. Oh, here he is again. Boy, yeah, you guys are going to debate. Maybe fun and happiness are overrated.
Oh, maybe they are, Rex.
Come over to the light side, Mr. Collinaires.
Well, if they're overrated, how would you know?
Good question.
Like, who's rating?
Right. There's a thinker. There you go, Rex. As he says, battle. I can see him. He's probably sitting in the coffee shop or wherever he is. Battle.
Where's my umbrella? I need an umbrella. Battle.
Get a sword. Oh my gosh. So let's recap those.
I have a dart. I have a bullet. Will that work? Literally lying on my desk. I don't know why. Rex,
leave it.
This one may be for you.
Leave it to my husband to be the devil's advocate in the mix here.
All right,
let's recap your steps, and then we will carry on with our day, and we are going to come back. I've got a couple people who are going to join us in future lives that we do, so everybody is going to see a lot more of our beautiful faces in the coming weeks. It's going to be awesome. So
yeah, for a quick recap, grab a pen and a notepad, a sticky note, a journal, whatever. Leave it lying where you see it. Just for the next 21 days. Put a reminder on your phone for the next 21 days. Write down if it's the same thing every day. Don't judge yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Coffee, pets. I'll give you some ideas. The sunshine, the weather, the rain. Be grateful for the rain, even if you're in a land where it rains all the time. Just be grateful for it, because it's going to rain anyways. You don't really have control over it. So change from whining about it to being grateful about it. Grateful for your pets, grateful for your mom. I mean, there's just, or your spouse or your friend or the Starbucks down the street. Like, there's so much, just tiny little things. And when you start to look, you see the tiny little lavender flowers and you're grateful for them that just happen to be blooming beside the path. Next, get audacious, get crazy. Nobody's going to see this. Nobody's going to judge you. You're the only one judging yourself for your crazy, audacious dreams that you're going to write down with the gratitude as if they've already happened. No, like, what's the worst that could happen if you did this? What's the worst that could happen? Nobody's going to see you fail. If you fail, what if you succeed though? What if there's 100% chance of you succeeding at that dream? Write it down. Second, practice the gratitude, or third, actually practice the gratitude in your family, in your tribe, in your land. Rise the tide, bring the tide up. And I'm going to say this, the goal of all of this is, I've been noticing that when I wake up, my first thought is, look at that sunrise. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. Literally my first thought comes out as gratitude. And that didn't used to be me. So I know that you didn't, most of you people didn't know me, but just let me tell you, that didn't used to be me. And then anchor all this in with a little bit of fun. Anchor it in with a dance and a jig. Anchor it in with a giggle or a laugh at whether it takes YouTube videos of cats leaping at cucumbers, or whether it takes like really bad dad jokes. I mean, I have an 8-year-old who excels at really bad jokes, really bad, but they make me laugh. I mean, and he knows it, which always, generally he can get out of trouble if he just can make me laugh. And it's his tool. He uses it all the time. But he ends up on my gratitude list because he makes me laugh like that. So find those people. And if you have to go walking down the street and find the lady who is singing to give you your laugh for the day, seek it out. And all these things, 30 seconds. Don't look at me and tell me you don't have time to do this, because it's 30 seconds 4 times a day. We've all got the time.
Exactly.
Make a note. Make a note that you're going to climb out, metaphorically speaking, you're going to climb out of bed into the land of wealth and abundance. And I'm using that not as I'm opposite than the land of never enough or scarcity. You're going to climb into the land of greatness. Put it that way. You're going to every morning you're going to climb out of bed into the land of greatness because it's here.
Yeah.
We have it.
That's right. We do. We just have to see it. So,
There,
all
Rex,
right.
take that one.
Yeah, how about that? We're grateful for your questions, honey.
I love them. I love every one of them.
You'll have many more in our following episodes to come, I'm sure. But all right, we'll let everybody. Oh, and our Charlie's Angels behind the scenes, Charlie put up, "Are you going to do it? Yes or no?" on our screen. So when you look back on this, you'll see the things he's put up there. So that's awesome. So yeah, that will be the challenge. And I mean, that's the thing I want to do too, is like kind of pose these challenges when we do have these conversations. And it's not anything like you're not getting marked on it. It's just when I do those, it is kind of for the ones I did last week anyways, was just to make you more aware. Like if you are conscious and you all of a sudden go like, holy, like one of them was writing down a check mark every time you thought something negatively about yourself or said.
I love that one, Carla.
Right?
Love that. Yes.
If that makes you aware all of a sudden, like for the first time, and you go, oh, why did I say that? Like, to me, that's a win. That's all it's about. Mm-hmm. And you just grow from there. So these tools are awesome. And I mean, people can like this will be on both the page and the YouTube channel, so people can refer back and stuff. But like, those are excellent tools that you've given us. So thank you for that so much.
It's a tool to help design your journey, design the life you want. That's all it is.
Yeah, that is all it is. All right. So we will wrap it up, and we'll be having another live soon. We'll work on that this coming week, what we're going to do. But thank you guys all for joining us. We appreciate you. We are very grateful that you joined us. And you know what? If you guys want to put in the comments any questions or anything like that, please do. You can message both Suzanne and I anytime if you're feeling like you're not sure or struggling or whatever. Like, let us help you.
Yes, absolutely. I would love that. Yes.
We're all works in progress. So you know what? We might not have the answers, but we can find somebody that's got them. So we, as collectively, we can all grow together and be better than we were the day before.
Yes.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Thank you. And you guys all have a great day. Share this live. I'd love it if you guys shared it and spread the word, and let's get gratitude flowing out into our circles. So on that note, we will say goodbye, and you guys have an awesome day. Thanks again, Suzanne. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right. We will talk to you again.
We will.